You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like?
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Tell me about the event.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Why did you, who did you invite?
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true labourers, I see.
And why did you invite Vogel?
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
Right, let's go through the evidence then. Vogel.
You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else.
The cufflinks.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
Okay.
That's not something I know much about.
Key?
I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about.
Kurt.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police.
I would agree. Oh, that's it. Okay, those are the key bits. Right. Okay, that's the thing. Wash himself after the murder. Would fit with the soap. Or does he normally do that? I think that one, but the soap. I think that's everything, isn't it? Yes. Right, so we've interrogated, I think, as best we can. And then we need to go and talk to Harvey Thingy. He's not back in here, is he? No, he said he was going to go to the archive.
Don't look at them. They'll serve us if necessary.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
Oh.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer.
Oh, that was it.
You'd better ask me
No.
a question I know how to answer.
I thought we would have asked him about the Santos.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here.
I am still technically a suspect.
They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll head back. Right, so we head back to number 7. 4, 3, 5, 6. So 7 just before John.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
Okay, observe. Let's see what we can see. Oh, hello. Psoriasis or allergy from on his skin. Patched holes in his clothes, so he doesn't have a lot of money. Could be a sense of jealousy that he does an awful lot for the house. Dyed textile. It's been coloured more than once. Hands frequently where we look. Patched shoes. He stepped in blood. I don't think a terrible miser, because he's not well. Yes, his body shows symptoms of psoriasis. He tries to hide it. Multiple hold. Yes. I think financial difficulties make more sense. It also means if he's got financial difficulties, that sets up a motive.
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide under heavy makeup a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
I do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you
There we
might
go.
expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Did you know the victim?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
Amatista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
Right, so more information. Gently missed the blood spatter, which would set up for that setup. I mean, I haven't got... yeah. Oh. Accidentally stepped in blood, which could be the possibility. Okay, that doesn't set me up with anything. Along with his confiscated belongings. Okay, let's...
Please let me out.
These are keys, are they? Oh, hello. A letter. Small note attached. Santos, my hopeful slug. You begged me to include you in my will, so I did. Here's my latest revision of the will. Santos Pinchetti, the major domo of the Manchios mansion, receives a jar of mustache wax and a salt lamp. Then I always remember his caring employer, Kurt Manchios. Okay. I don't think that's going to have been exactly what he meant.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
So let's ask him about the will.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a
Okay,
major
but not
domo.
enough money.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful.
Exactly.
I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
2 new Mind Palace clues. Okay, that's a bit more information. I'm going to switch that to... yeah. So that does that. Santos Pinchetti's efforts in vain. He's been forced to work for Kurt Manchios in a desperate hope of obtaining heritage, but it hasn't paid off. Okay. Oh, really? They're not connected? Right, I need to go and get more information. So let's go back to Manchios and ask him about the will, if that's still got... it still has.
That's not something I know much about.
Sorry, that one.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
Okay. So I need to get the... oh! Does that send me down here? Can I get through here now?
This area is restricted.
No. Right. We're going to have a chat with Oswald again.
Continue our investigation while I look for the papers.
Okay, so it won't let me go that way. Will it let me leave? It will.
Did you hear Basilio Copello is in jail?
Thing is, I don't want to leave. Can I go this way? Maybe look at evidence or something? Ah, the evidence room.
Good night. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
Oh, I have to find it now. Not that one. No. That one.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
Okay. Which oh, this. Here. Right. Handkerchief of some kind. KM.
A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone.
And KM's keys.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring.
This is Vogel.
An emergency kit for boredom.
The letter that was found in Vogel's evidence box. Is your mind unsound? You can't control your bitterness not around me. Anyway, for me, it's too great a risk to ignore that kind of behaviour. I can be, speak, and play with anyone I choose. I'm not another Matista. You pay me, but you haven't bought me. Of course, I'll keep all your generous donations, even though they hardly compensate for your last terrible outburst. I'm leaving you, although Matista will still be around.
Not the time for privacy.
Who is that to? Is the question. This is Matista.
A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings.
And her key.
Her key to the altar.
Power of love, blood, and mandrake. Oh, power of love, blood, and mandrake.
That's not for bedtime reading.
Well, if you want nightmare, maybe.
This ex libris belongs to Manchios Library.
The police found this occult book in Matista's bag during the arrest. According to the ex libris, the tome was taken from Mr. Manchios' collection. It contains illustrations and descriptions of a ritual similar to the crime scene. Prepare the naked body of a recently deceased object of interest. Draw symbols of Mars and Venus to enhance the power you possess, to use the force of male and female nature. Pierce his heart with a golden dagger to be rid of the blood that does not love you. Draw a symbol representing your love. While waiting for the resurrection, recite the charm.
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room.
Oh, there we go. I was thinking there'd be 3 in each.
Werner's personal sketchbook. Thank you, officer.
And we leave. Right. Angry letter from Fabio. Oh. Wait, what? Okay, we'll just... No. Okay. The letter may have been for Manchios. According to Santos Pinchetti, and by the content of the letter, it may have been addressed to Kurt. Manchios. Okay. So we got to ask Matista and ask Vogel about that. I kind of like this, that we're just in here, that we're kind of stuck in the police station. Like, we could probably leave, but everything is just here. I think I'd really like it if we didn't even see the crime scene and we just got stuff here. We have to find the evidence.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
Touché.
Yes. So we've still got to ask about that. Need to talk to Matista. Yeah, let's talk to Matista first about these. That doesn't fill me with confidence.